All right, y'all, so you should have just gotten the new unit, and I'm sorry I'm not there today, but this is actually a good lesson for me not to be there because this is not new stuff. So what we're doing today is we're solving one-step equations, and so the plan for that is to locate the variable. So we want to find the variable, and we want to see here what is on the same side. So we're going to look at an equation. So like down here, we'll look at this first one. So I have this first equation right here. What's on the same side of the variable? Well, what we have over here is the 7. The 7 is on the same side. And when I mean same side, I mean the same side of the equal sign. So sometimes your variable might be on the other side. So if I look down here at number 6, on number 6, let me scoot my paper up. Number 6, the variable's on the other side. So this is the side of the equation that we're going to look at. So you want to isolate the variable, meaning you just want to find it. And then we're going to see what operation is tied to the variable. So we're going to use inverse operations to solve this. So we know if we have subtraction, then the opposite of that is addition. And what you see here is that the arrow goes both ways. So if you have subtraction, you use addition, but if you have addition, you use subtraction. Okay? And then the same thing with division. If I have division, the opposite operation or the inverse operation of division is to multiply. Okay, so I know you did this in Math 7, but that's okay because we're going to warm up with this before we get to the harder ones. So if I look at this first problem, what's on the same side is a positive 7. I'm adding 7. So because I'm adding 7, I have to subtract 7 from this side and subtract 7 from this side. So whatever I do to one side of the equation, I have to do to the other. So here I have 7 minus 7, so this goes away. And I end up with x equals, I have negative 1 plus a negative 7. So I have the same sign, so I add them and I keep the sign. Okay, let's look at the next one. Let's look at number 3. So number 3, even though my variable is on the other side of the equation, this 14 is a positive number. And since this is positive, I'm going to add. Right? So this means I'm adding 14. So the opposite of adding is subtraction. So I have to subtract 14 from this side and subtract 14 from this side. Okay? So here, 14 minus 14, so this is 0, but on the right-hand side of my equation, I have an h. And now I have 14 minus 9. So the reason I say it that way is because 14 is the bigger number. So I have negative 14, and here I'm going to subtract 9 from that. So I end up with 5, but 14 is the bigger number, so it's negative 5. Now, you can leave your answer just like this, or if this hurts your brain and you want to flip-flop it, there's a property in algebra that you'll study next year called the symmetric property, and that tells us that we can just rewrite it and put the variable first. Okay, we do one more. So down here, I have k minus 8, so now I'm subtracting. So the opposite of subtracting is adding. So I add 8 to this side, and I add 8 to this side. So I have negative 21 and a positive 8. So my signs are different. So if my signs are different, I have to subtract. So again, I have 21 minus 8. So I have to borrow. 11 minus 8 is 3. And then this was a 1. So this would be 13, but my sign is on the sign on the bigger number is negative, so this stays negative. And that equals k because I have a positive 8 and a negative 8 over here, so this becomes 0. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and you do the even ones, 2, 4, 6. All right, so here's what I ended up with. So you add 11, so you get 2. Here you add 15, so you get 29. And here you add 4 because the opposite of subtraction, so the opposite of negative 4 is a positive 4, which gives you a positive 3. I don't know why I wrote this positive 3 right here. It's not wrong, but this is just the same as 3 equals v. In my mind, I don't even know why I did that. So this wouldn't be wrong, but this is probably what you wrote down, which is fine. Okay? All right, so now we're going to take it a step farther. We just did adding and subtracting, and now we're going to do multiply and divide. So this is an example of something multiplied together. They're connected. So with multiplication, what you're going to see is that they're connected. You're not going to see a multiplication dot in here, so it's not going to look like this. And you're not going to see, absolutely probably won't see this with the multiplication x in there anymore. So if this is multiplying, we know that the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I divide 4 on this side, and I divide 4 on this side. So I have 4 divided by 4, which is 1. So on the left-hand side, it's just A. And now I have negative 24 divided by 4. So here's what I have. I have a negative divided by a positive. So a negative divided by a positive is a negative. So this gives me negative 6. Okay, so same thing here. So on this side, I have a negative 7 that's connected to the p. So I'm multiplying right here. So what I have to do is I have to divide by negative 7. So if this is a negative value that we want to get rid of, we have to divide by the negative value. So what I do on this side, I have to do on this side. Okay? So now what I have is a negative value divided by a negative value. So a negative divided by a negative is a positive number. So 56, negative 56, divided by negative 7 is going to be 8. Okay? Let me flip this over. All right, so let's look at some division. So here, this is an example of a division problem. The division problem is using this fraction bar. So this is not a fraction, this is division. So the opposite of division is multiplying. So if I'm dividing by 5 in the denominator, then I'm going to multiply by 5 here. So I multiply by 5, which means I multiply by 5 on this side. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, and we end up with n equals 45. 9 times 5. Okay, so same thing over here. I'm dividing my variable by a negative 8. So I have to multiply this side by negative 8, and I multiply this side by negative 8. Okay, so negative 8 divided by negative 8 is 1. So on this side I have a negative times a positive. So a negative times a positive is a negative 16, and that equals r. Okay, number 11 is the most missed question. Absolutely the most missed question. This problem is not done. What I have here is this understood or this implied negative 1. So this is the same as negative 1k equals 7. We don't write the 1, but that's what this means. So to get rid of this, I have to divide by negative 1, which means I have to divide this side by negative 1. So negative 1 divided by negative 1 is 1, so that goes away. And I have 7 divided by a negative 1. So a positive divided by a negative is a negative. Okay, last one. So here I'm dividing, so I have to multiply by a negative 6. Over here I'm going to multiply by a negative 6. Negative divided by a negative goes away, and I end up with just x on the left side. Now, don't forget this negative sign right here. It's hard to see, but I have a negative times a negative, so this becomes a positive 72. Okay? All right, here's what we're going to do. I want you to pause the video, and I want you to work through all of these questions with your table. You do them and check your answers, and then pop back on here when you're finished, and you can check your answers. Okay, y'all, here's the answers for this. So go ahead and check your work. I did want to talk about a couple of them really quick. So one thing is, if this is going too fast, don't forget the notes are posted to Schoology. So you can go on to Schoology and check your work. But let's talk about number 24. So with number 24, we divide 6 and we divide 6, and we end up with this 0 over 6. So when we have a 0 over a number, we can look at this as saying, okay, this is okay. I have 0 over some number, and so my answer is going to be 0. Okay, which is what I have. I have an answer of 0 right here. Now, if I would have done it this way, 6 over 0, this is a number over 0. And so we're going to say a number over 0 is no. You can't do this, and what you get is an undefined answer. So if you put 0 over 6 in your calculator, it's going to give you 0. If you put 6 over 0 in your calculator, it's going to tell you that it's an unreal answer. And so it's undefined, so we say we don't have an answer. So if you got to this point and you said 0 over 6, 0 over 6 is not the answer. The answer is 0, just like this. So you have to remember okay and no. You're going to hear me say that a lot this year. 0 over a number is okay. So the answer is a number, and that number is 0. Okay? All right. Go back and check your answers online if you need to, and then I'm going to go ahead and move on, stop this lesson, and then go on to the next one where we're going to practice.